There we are. What did everyone think of our little timer? That was kind of a last 10 minutes. I decided, let's put a timer on there.
Yeah.
Let's see how that works.
It's handy for us as well, because we're not that good at telling the time.
Well, normally we just sit there looking at the clock going, wait, it ticks over to... I mean, at least we can kind of do this on time. There's plenty of people that do these live streams and they're always late. Or at least the ones that I watch, they're always late.
Yeah, I don't really watch any except ours.
No. Right, let me get the list up of stuff for today. So we have a rat of the week. We haven't had a rat of the week in a while, have we?
We haven't had a rat of the week.
But we've got a good rat of the week to go through this week.
Can I just say where I saw it first of all?
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite.
Yeah, it was one that you found.
One of my favourite fancy rat sites, and that is Twilight Rats. So shout out to Karen Clark if you're out there at all. And it was a friend of mine actually that posted a picture of a beautiful, exotic, unusual rat that everybody immediately oohed and cooed over. Do you think we should show people what it is?
We can do, but let's go through the rest of the bits. Then we do the intro and then we'll get into it.
Okay.
We've got a bit about, well, the weather's getting colder, so a bit about
really is.
The cold weather and how that can affect our pouchies and how best to combat that.
Very, very important to keep your rat warm in the winter.
Exactly. I'm just looking, how juddery is the video for everyone? I'm looking at the previews and it looks really
that looks
juddery.
Terrible.
Is it? Do say if it's not coming across very smooth, because something's a bit weird. I'm not quite sure what's
happening. It's sort of freeze framing, isn't it?
Yeah, is that actually what people are seeing? Let us know, because I'm not quite sure what would be causing that. We've had some weird issues with our internet of late, so that could be why. Let me just have a quick fiddle. Why don't you go through the last few points on there that we're going to go through?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
While I fiddle with this.
We've got things about the changing seasons, the changing weather, and also the light frequency and how that sort of the daylight hours or lack of daylight hours can affect the pouchies. We've known a little bit about that through breeding as well, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to give everybody an update on the rescue rat in Guernsey called Cecil, who's been having a pretty rough time at the moment, so we can mention him. Anything else?
I think that's it. I'm just concerned about how juddery everything looks. My video is frozen, but the audio is fine. Yes, not flowing. That's really strange. Trying to think what could be causing that today.
I don't think we're going to fix it immediately, so maybe we can just carry on and see if it resolves itself.
I can't see it stopping itself. I'm not quite sure. Why don't you have a little chat about our rat of the week while I fiddle? That sounds wrong.
So to speak. Yeah, well, it is Friday night. Could we have a picture of the cloud rat on the screen as I talk?
We can, yep. Let's do that while I fiddle with all the settings.
That's much nicer than staring at me, isn't it? Look at that. So you can imagine what a hoo-ha there was online when somebody posted these pictures. There weren't even these lovely professional photos. There's several of them and they look fantastic. It's making me think we should have some more professional photos done of our crowd, really.
Well, some of the best photos we've got are actually ones that I took just using our camera. White background. I haven't got the good flash anymore, but some of the best pictures we got were doing that. So
yeah, we should resurrect that, really.
Yeah.
But we digress. This is a cloud runner rat, also known as the Luzon cloud rat. They're from the Philippines originally. There is a few in zoos in this country, including somewhere called Wingham Wildlife Park in Kent, which would be a really good place to visit.
Yeah, indeed.
They've got one of these cloud rats. Unfortunately, her mate died. She's called Betty, and she's 5 years old. Don't know about their lifespan, so I don't really know how old that is in human terms. But apparently, she's very grumpy and very not the friendliest of animals. So we did a bit of reading anyway about these and the realism of keeping them as a pet. They come up occasionally on exotic sites, and according to my friend, they're around or over £2,000.
Oh.
So if you want one of these, get saving. I think personally,
I don't think they're the sort of things that should be kept as pets, really.
Well,
I mean, they're very, very Right, I don't know if that's made any difference. Let's just put that back on there first. See the cloud.
Hello.
It's we're now restreaming, but I don't know why, if it's any actually yeah it looks like it has cleared up a little bit
It
now.
looks a bit more normal now. That's good.
Yeah, that's
all
good.
right then.
There you go. So, something weird with for any technical people, Nginx is what we use to stream to 2 locations, to stream to Facebook and YouTube. From next week, we're probably going to stop doing the streaming to Facebook because Facebook are changing the technology they're using, and I can't replicate that easily. You kind of
can we come back to the cloud wrap?
I'm just saying, from next week, I think it will be just YouTube. We should make this actually a bit faster, but brilliant. Right, we can get back on track now. Let's re-get up what we're going to talk about. So the cloud rats, I had some interesting information. So you looked up a bit, but I looked up something rather.
Oh, Chester Zoo have them as well. I didn't mention that.
Chester Zoo
can't
do.
leave Chester Zoo
I
out.
actually I looked on Wikipedia. I was looking up some information, and Chester Zoo wasn't listed, so I added Chester Zoo. So if you now go on the Wikipedia entry for cloud rats, I was the last person to have Chester Zoo on there. It's my little.
Okay,
that's even not really a claim to fame, is it?
What else did you find out?
So these come under the old endemic Australian murines, rather than and this is one of the great one of the types of species, and there's not that many. These tend to be Papua New Guinea and the Philippines that these tend to come from, this particular subspecies family, but they have a rather complex or rather strange type of sperm, which is why they've been studied.
I can see a cockle-shaped head.
They do. So I was well, I've got a couple. We've kind of ruined the flow a bit by that all going a bit weird, but it still seems a bit jaddery again now. It's really weird.
Let's just carry on.
Lagging again. Yeah. We might just have to leave a picture of the rat up and just talk through. Never mind, we can deal with that. Let's go back to the desktop. We've got some other pictures of these beautiful little beasts, which I thought was
Look at
them
those.
teeth. Weight-wise, they actually come in quite comparable to our guys. They come in at coming around 2 kilos, which is rather around the same sort of thingy. But so this is what their sperm looks like. Have a look at that.
Oh, wow.
So if you look at these pictures down here, you see that they're saying that the head and the tail are offset to each other, which is not like most animals. You can see that it's not actually joined at the bottom here.
Yeah, they're not a symmetrical shape.
No, and they've got this big hook-like shape on their head, which scientists are not quite sure why. It's like an evolutionary adaptation, which is
I wonder
unusual.
who ever decided first off to milk a cloud rat and then examine its sperm.
I wonder how they did. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some odd people out there.
Yeah, very, very strange. Shall I try giving this Nginx thing one more reboot, and then if it doesn't clear it up, then I think we'll just have to stick a big picture of a rat and talk. Yeah.
It would probably be preferable, but yeah, go on, try one more.
Let's try one more time at doing the whole restarting it. In fact, I might just do a full quick reboot of the Pi. That won't take a minute, and see if that gets things moving again. Yeah, give us another 15 seconds to see if we can get this show back on the road as we normally get it. Right. We're back, and I don't know if that's going to be better. It doesn't quite. Oh no, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Yeah, that looks possibly. Maybe. Do let us know if it's any better now. That's I might
if not, we've just got to press on.
We will just press on, otherwise we'll be sitting there for ages on a fixed stream. To be fair, it doesn't normally play up. It could just be our internet connections playing up because we've not got it through like a dedicated line or anything. Yeah, that was chewed by one of the Pouchies. All right, let's go back to this. So, let's go back to the gender. Right, our main thing was us talking about Pouchies getting cold. The nights are starting to draw in, the temperature's starting to drop, and I think our Pouchies do feel it. And I was doing, I know I've touched on this before, but I was going to quickly go through, I can see it's lagging again, bloody thing. Let's just put a picture of one of these cloud rats up, because I don't think it's going to
we don't want to sit and look at sperm particularly, so yeah.
Let's just have that.
He's
just
nice.
pretend that he's talking to you.
Hello.
So yeah, I was looking at some of the temperatures that they would naturally go through. I'm sure I did this before, but I tried to sort of get a bit more of a comparison, so we would know what temperatures our Pouchies were experiencing in the wild, and why temperatures can actually be quite important for them. So some of the temperatures, for example, in like, let's take Tanzania, during the night, the temperature will rarely drop any time during the year between 14 and 18 degrees. And even some of the highest elevations, so try and look for the highest elevation that you'd expect to see a pouch rat, round about Kilimanjaro, around sort of like the midway point. Temperatures there drop to about 8 degrees at the lowest during the night, and even that's not all year round. So I think temperatures when they drop below 10 could be quite devastating to these guys, can't they?
I think it depends on where they're from. And another thing that needs to be taken into account, certainly in the situations we're trying to keep them in, is relative humidity.
I think that does play a slight part.
It's notorious that, I mean, certainly if we have babies in winter, their tails tend to get very, very dry in the winter months due to the central heating.
I think that and the cold air does tend to be drier. There's less room for moisture.
Yeah, I think something that we do that is an advantage is that we provide bowls in their cage. We provide a large shallow dish filled with a little bit of water, and that's where they go to the toilet. So you've got some humidity within the cage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that does help, and the landing that we put on the tails does tend to help as well.
Yeah, and two great big aquariums as well that we'll have downstairs.
That keeps the humidity up.
Yeah, it does, but it is something to consider really, whether or not your room's very humid and whether that makes a difference to them.
I think so. I mean, I was looking as well as like, so obviously they've thrived out in Florida as well, where they were released, and looking at some of the temperatures out in Florida that they experience during the night, during the day, are actually higher, if anything, than they would experience.
They are.
Although the daytime temperatures are very similar, the nighttime temperatures tend to be at the lowest around 18 to 15.
And it is massively humid in Florida.
Yeah, so you can see why they've actually done so well there. And how the temperature seems to affect them. But Tony Bennett, one of our esteemed Pouchy members.
Yeah, long time Pouchy friend.
He had some experience of how the cold can affect them. This was this time last year, wasn't it?
It was, but I think Nezumi is very prone to being affected by the cold, perhaps more sensitive than some of the others.
But he did a bit of information for us, didn't he, around what he observed when they got cold, and how he was able to solve it. And it's quite time sensitive, isn't it, when they start to show issues with the cold weather?
Yeah, and it's also tied in, I think, with the shortening of the day.
Yeah.
Which we know temperatures are to begin with. But again, I think their circadian rhythms are very, very highly sensitive to changes in the daylight time. It's commonly broadcast that they don't breed at all in the winter months. The ones that Popo use, they just don't attempt any matings during the winter months because they're never successful. But we have artificial lighting, so I don't know whether that's governed Lolo's choice, because she had a baby in the dead of winter last year.
Well, we were thinking it was going to be a Christmas baby, and it was just after.
Yeah, that was silly. I can't believe she's knocking on for a year old. But yeah, dead of winter she was born. Yeah.
So some of the things that Tony sort of shared with us that he noticed in Nezumi when the weather got cold, and she seemed to sort of show us that she generally didn't look quite right and looked rather confused.
Oh, excuse me.
Am I keeping you awake, dear?
I'm going into torpor, yeah.
She went off her food. She sort of stopped eating as much. She was feeling cold to the touch. Her paws feeling cold, tail feeling cold. Just feeling quite weak and disorientated. That was sort of the symptoms.
And that is a massive red flag. It's worth mentioning, just as we're talking about how the animal feels. I think if you pick up your animal every day, or at least sort of touch it every day, you get a feel, literally do get a feel for how it is. And the thing that we noticed, well, quite dramatically when Arthur got ill, the first thing I noticed when I picked him up, apart from him jumping out of my hands, he must have been in pain, was that he felt really, really cold.
They seem to...
They don't get hot.
Well,
they don't get what we would call a temperature, do they?
It's not like they come out of fever when they're ill. No. They tend to just get really cold.
They get really chilled, so that is a warning sign.
I'm
sorry. Just yawning. Okay.
It's not contagious. So he gave some advice, and this is the same sort of advice that we would give to anyone who had found that the Pouchie was getting cold or showing these symptoms of going into torpor. This time of year, it has come up quite a few times, hasn't it? But keep them, if you can, if they're handleable, keep them close to your body. Try and get them warm as quick as possible. Wrap them up in bedding, fleece, paper, whatever you can put over them. Offer them warmed up foods such as stew or soups.
If they're lethargic, they're less likely to try and get away from you. And what we did with Arthur when he was unwell, and bearing in mind this was the height of summer last year, but he was still freezing because he was so dreadfully ill.
They just can't retain the heat.
We used bubble wrap and laid that over him.
Yeah, and that does help. Yeah,
and they seem to like a bit of plastic anyway, don't they? It must be very, very warm.
Well, you've got that. I mean, tinfoil's another good one that can be good at keeping in heat, especially if you put material over the tinfoil just to insulate one side of it.
Bacon tray gas Mark 6 for 50 minutes or so, crisps them up nicely.
Yeah, don't try. I've put things in don't try and microwave. That's not going to work.
A long time ago, when microwaves first became popular, which I sort of remember and you probably wouldn't.
I just remember microwaves always being a thing.
Yeah, that's right. But they were a little bit misunderstood, and an old lady in Wales did put a Yorkshire Terrier in one to dry it after its bath. Didn't end well.
No. It doesn't dry as much as it cooks
from the inside. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's not recommended. But the best course of action, I think we've got some really, really good tips from Tony. Reduce the drafts. Drafts seem to be a big problem for them, even more so than the ambient temperature.
Well, I guess it drops temperature very suddenly, whereas an ambient temperature being quite low takes them a while to drop, and it's less of a shock.
Yeah, they don't cope that well, do they? Warming from the inside, so feed them soup or porridge if they will eat. We have, I was going to bring one up for this and I forgot. We give them teepees. They're meant to be a cat teepee, but they're probably not big enough for a cat. And you can get them in the pet hut, and you can also get them in Home Bargains. And they're generally a checkered fleece.
There's just some really cheap ass shops.
Like a wigwam. Yeah, like a wigwam with a loop on the top and a hole in it. And they are really cosy. They will protect from drafts.
Well, they're fleece. They've got some spongy stuff in between, haven't they? And
yeah, okay, you again. This is a fail, isn't it? I'm so sorry.
Stream goes wrong. You're yawning your head off.
I know.
And he lovingly put the end. Extra love always helps.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of love from Tony.
No.
So yeah, thank you so much, Tony Bennett, for helping us out with that. Because although we've had a bit of illness with Arthur, we haven't seen the effects of the cold here. So it's really nice to have somebody else contribute.
I think because we're
offer that advice.
We'll tend to have a heating on. I mean, I've always set by this rule that I work hard. I don't want to come home to a cold house or get up in a cold house. That's the one thing I kind of balance off. I'm all for save the environment, save energy, but
not in here.
Well, this was on the news actually. This is a bit of an off subject, but this was on the news, and I felt really gratified when I read that. So, if you choose not to have a child, you're saving more energy than you could possibly save by cutting every corner. It's true. He said that you're going to save more energy by not having a child than you would by putting all your recycling in the bin and remember to turn the lights off and not leaving the tap on. All your carbon footprint essentially. So I can do anything. I've basically got a free pass.
Well, having said that, Bob, who is very much your rat, has offset all of those good things for you by pinching all of my recycling bags, pulling the whole roll through the cage, chewing them all up, and now I can't recycle this week, and I don't feel good about that.
So there was a huge drive in the UK about recycling quite around 10 years ago, wasn't there? And a lot of local councils started giving out rolls of recycling bags they would collect, and every county, every council has their own colour.
They do.
And ours is pink. And they all go in a box, and the box is next to Bob's cage. And I think one night hands have just crept through the bars and grabbed hold of the roll, and
there must have been a little bit hanging over, and he's managed to stretch his arm through.
But he's just kept pulling the roll.
Whatever a Pouchie wants, a Pouchie will get.
Because we came downstairs and there was just bags.
It was like a big cloud of pink plastic. You couldn't
almost
see,
to the top to the bottom of the cage.
You couldn't see him at all, and I just sort of went over and went, "Oh, Bob." And he stuck his head out. in the middle of all. I have got a picture of it somewhere.
Oh, it was
festooned in all these great big bags. And
I was just getting up for work. You were
Yeah.
getting up for work. So we were like, we'll leave it. We'll do it when I get home. And then I took them out, and most of them, it's not like it destroyed all of them in a vast amount. Just little chew marks in all of them, and they're not very strong. So you try and put anything that just rip.
They just create a pretty decent sized hole that a milk bottle or a Pepsi Max bottle can fall straight through. So it was bye bin bags.
Yeah, we let him keep some of them because he's Bob.
Well, the ones that we couldn't use are shredded up, so I kind of recycled the recycling bags, if that makes any sense.
That does.
Does that redeem me a little bit?
Doesn't redeem Bob though.
No, it doesn't redeem Bob.
We kind of gave him. We gave him something positive for doing something bad. We rewarded him for stealing bags. But lesson learned: don't leave anything near their cage because the little grabbers.
No.
little grabbers
Surprising
come through.
how far those tiny little short front legs can reach if they really, really want something.
I know. Well, that's the cold weather. But the other thing that happens this time of year is the night starts to draw and it gets a bit darker.
Yeah, we did touch on this. I think we've kind of covered this already.
I think we're at the point we've almost been doing UnPouched for a year now, haven't we? Because I'm sure we've been speaking about some of this before. But again, how the darker nights affects them.
Well, some people's it's an interesting observation we've made, and in accordance with other people, because some of theirs are slowing down and becoming a bit less active. Ours seem to have gone the other way at the moment, and they're rattling around.
It's cold. The weather's but it's also dark.
Yeah, and they're just up all night, banging, smashing things. We're taking various implements out of the cages and going, "Radio, shut up!" all night long. So
well, it's the same thing because now Bob's in the other room. He's still doing his whole "let's slam the bowl against the bars."
Yeah, he is living. He's back living with his Lolo now, and it hasn't really calmed him. In fact, he was chasing her all over, trying to.
Well, he was, mate. I saw him a couple of times mating with her.
Yeah, they're still having their fun, but he has no balls, so he can have as much fun as he wants. It's nice seeing them back together, but well, ours are all just sort of like doing the can all night long, really, aren't they?
Indeed.
They haven't slowed down at all, which is good because it's always a worry. Some animals are, to be fair, less friendly than others. Some animals have had a less fortunate start than others, so when they get ill, it makes it 10 times worse and 10 times more worrying for the owner, worrying about getting medicine into them or even getting them in a carrier to go to the vet.
Well,
so that brings us on to Cecil quite nicely, doesn't it?
It does. Poor Cecil. So,
do you want to talk a little bit about Cecil's background, because not everybody might know?
We can. So Cecil came with his brother and was rescued. Well, was sold to a college with the idea of them both being for the students to handle and bits, but they were completely wild. They'd not been told. The college had not been told anything about how
they'd been misrepresented. Yeah. I think it was highly unfair, knowing that those animals were going to be handled by students, and they weren't handleable. They were feral.
They were
older. They weren't babies that they could train or tame. They were older rats.
But the stress, I think, of that whole experience of them, out of the two, one of them died, and I think that was
Cecil's brother just gave up and died. Yeah.
And it was at that point that we sort of got involved with helping find them a home. And don't get me wrong, the college that took them, the lady that took them, she was lovely. Yeah. She wanted what was best for them.
They'd had a Pouchie previous to that who'd done beautifully well with them, and she ended up with a liver problem. And the students were devastated, so I could understand her haste in wanting to replace them. Yeah, that was forgivable.
Yeah, I mean, it was the not being told or bits, but about how bad they were that wasn't. But so we tried to find Cecil, who was at that point on his own, missing his brother and quite upset and very, very scared at home. And at this point, he needed a really understanding home, because we both knew, as did I think a lot of the people involved in trying to find him a home, that he was going to be difficult. He was going to be both physically and emotionally quite damaged at this point. And a lady called Genni stepped forward And I remember mentioning this at the time. You know, I did at the time lay things down in such a way I was trying to put her off. She'd not had a Pouchie before. It's a lot to take on. I mean,
It's
even
an incredibly brave thing that you did.
well, I think even
She's
for
never given up
no, even for someone who has experience with a Pouchie, it's really hard to take on one in this condition. I think even we would struggle.
Yeah.
But she did. She took on the challenge, and she's done him proud. She really has. But now he's showing a few symptoms of being a bit ill, which is not great. So
I think what's happened possibly is that he's slowed down with the winter approaching. Again, the temperature's dropped where he lives, and combined with various other things, he spent maybe 3 or 4 days not going to the toilet properly, and he's ended up with some digestive problems in with that. He's had an x-ray, he's got medicine from the vet, he's having treatment, and he's having round the clock 24-hour care from his owner. So all we can do really is hope that he makes a recovery. Probably a slow recovery, because looking at Gimli, who's been unwell recently, looking at when Arthur was ill last year, it takes them like 4 weeks to get better.
They don't
very, just
very
turn
slow.
around and run off, and it is heartbreaking. It is sheer heartache.
Exactly.
To watch them struggle and cry and not be able to move around like they would normally do, and it really is. It really does tug at your heart. So,
but it breaks you, and it. I mean, what I feel, and this is something we've not really experienced firsthand, that Jenny's experiencing, which is that when you've got an animal that you can't really handle, that doesn't really want to be with you, that you can't
comfort it.
Yeah, I mean, with Arthur, you could hold him, you could stroke him, you could force liquid into him when he needed it.
Yeah,
and even
it wasn't easy.
No, even if he didn't like that,
no,
you know, at least you kind of knew you were giving something to him. But
yeah, and
obviously she can't.
Genni has worked for 6 months with this animal and given it everything she can, and now she's having to be forceful with him in order to treat him, and she's desperately worried that he won't love her and that all the work that she's done with him will be undone. I don't think it will.
Oh no, I don't.
I was scared too when I was medicating and.
If anything, I'd say that brought you and Arthur closer together.
Well, at the time when I was hydrating him every 3 hours and he was biting the end off the syringe and clicking at me, it felt like I was damaging everything. But
you know, I've just been watching the connection strength, and it's gone from being terrible, according to YouTube, virtually the whole time, and suddenly it's gone being excellent, which kind of proves my idea, which I think it was our internet connection.
Our internet connection is difficult at the moment. We have got onto somebody.
So I bet if I put it on that screen now, I bet that it all now streams.
Right.
Well, I don't know. We'll wait until it pops up on the big screen, but it's still a bit jaggedy. But
I think people would rather have looked at that beautiful cloud rat. Really,
I do think let's put that back on.
Yeah, we'll put that back on.
Yeah, I still think that was perfectly fine. Let's have a quick check through the chat before we go.
Ah, somebody's come up for Nazumi. I think Tony's actually on here.
Let's yeah, the video's a bit better, but still all right.
Suri Blanche.
We've got Bob. Hello, Bob.
Yeah.
Got Blanche as well. Hello.
All the lovely regulars. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. It's not Tony. It's Christie that's joined on Facebook.
It is Christie. Yeah.
Oh, it was lovely to see you, Christie. Lovely.
It was amazing as a foam core covered in full, and then find a low bubble wrap. So that was proper toasty.
Oh yeah.
Around 3 sides of the cage, bubble wrap the inside. See, I think that's when they start getting cold, you've got to jump straight on.
Yeah. So what Tony and Christie did was to turn the cage from a barred cage into a den.
Yeah.
So it was all foam boarded out. It had bubble wrap around 3 sides and on the ceiling, so that the rising heat would be kept in as well. That's an excellent idea. Thank you so much for that.
Bob says it's been close to 100 Fahrenheit here, but finally cooling down.
Oh.
I don't know. I'd actually prefer. I could live with it being quite warm all the time.
Oh, it's the humidity that gets to me.
If it was as hot as
I can't bear it.
The problem with temperature in the UK is it can get really hot and it can get really cold. We're at the mercy of the weather that comes over across the Atlantic.
And despite the fact that we'll have this weather every year now, are we prepared for it?
Oh, never.
No,
never.
We're crap as a country at providing.
It's too hot. Everything fails. It snows. Fail. Wind. Yep, fails. But then we do get the extremes. Most countries will get a consistent level of weather. They'll get like very, very cold winters and then relatively mild summers maybe, but we get hit with both sides because we either get the weather coming up from Africa or down from the Arctic.
Yeah, let's see what the Arctic weather brings this winter.
Well, it just brings snow. Just snow, sleet and cold.
I think we're kind of out of time now.
I think we are.
Sorry about the wasted time fiddle.
Well, yeah, I apologise for the stream being a bit dodgy. I think it's our internet. I've had problems on and off the internet connection all week.
Yeah, we've been on the phone about it. It's been dreadful, but we'll give it a shot.
Engineering, yeah, because I work from home. It's really annoying when the internet goes off.
I just think we're so fortunate to have had this picture of that beautiful cloud rat to look at instead.
We are. Handsome little face.
Isn't he beautiful?
His big yellow teeth.
His big yellow teeth and his little.
I think he looks like a little bear.
He does look like a lovely soft teddy bear, but I don't suppose he feels like one when he sinks his teeth into your arm.
No, they've definitely got more of a fancy rat face.
I think they're like a little top-eared fancy rat, yeah. And a bit like a raccoon as well. They've sort of got the best of a lot of different little animals, haven't they?
I'll put there. The main rodent news over here was that mouse that fell down from the ceiling of the. I read that. I was going to put that in the news today.
What was that?
A mouse fell from the ceiling during a White House press room. Landed on
the reporter. Oh, we'll have to have a look at that. Maybe we can include a clip from that next time.
I saw it and I was
that
like,
would be so funny.
Does anyone want to hear about that? But actually, that is funny.
Yeah, the person's reaction would be funny.
I would love to have fallen out and bitten Trump maybe and then run off. That would have made headlines.
I wouldn't have fancied the mouse's chances though, and
the Secret Service going. Could happen. Right, I think we're unpouched.
We are.
I think we are unpouched, and we will see you all in a full night's time, hopefully with a bit better streaming performance.
Yeah, let's hope. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, everybody.
Did we want to mention what we were thinking of trialling? We were trialling our idea of our own take on...
our American friends might not know what we're talking about.
No. Yeah,
maybe we'll save that till next time.
Well, we can quickly fit it in. We'll just explain what it is.
Go on then.
So over here we have a program on TV that's basically you film lots and lots of families sitting on their sofas watching TV.
When you describe it like that, it really doesn't sound very interesting.
It's funny because they just literally rip the absolute sticks out of everything.
Again, we can. There's a possibility we could include a few clips. We'll be better organised next time and maybe show people what we're talking about.
Well, I don't know if we can actually show footage of it because it might get copyright strike or something like that. But anyway, so we were thinking of something like that where it's kind of us, maybe some other people watching various animal clips. If we could get a crowd
of people watching animal clips and maybe have the Pouchies on there as well, that could be quite a nice alternative to UnPouched.
And yeah, what I'll probably do is I'd pick a load of videos, some that were like really cute, some that were like obviously really stupid, or ones that were fake, and then just let people like go, well, that's stupid and that couldn't happen. And isn't that sweet?
Passing a bottle of Jack Daniels round as the game goes on. That could be
we
really
just get more and more drunk as it goes on. But I thought that would make a
That's
potentially.
What the people on Gogglebox do. That couple who've got the son, they've got a young man with the same condition as Lex. He's got West syndrome.
Yeah.
And they just the two posh people.
Well, this is what we were thinking. It would be called Bogglebox.
Bogglebox, yeah. I mean, just for that title alone, we've got to try it.
I thought, just for one, and we'll see whether it works out or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Might be something a bit different. Right.
Come on, let's do it.
Bye for now, peoples.
Bye for now. Bye.
Let's finally. Bye.
Bye.